Dear friends and followers, welcome back to my channel and lovely greetings from Augsburg Airport. We're here for the CIRRUS SR20 and we're going to be taking a flight together today, and I am so excited for this. So let's get started and check out what this very modern general aviation aircraft can do for us today. Let's go!
Speedbird 40 Foxtrot Heavy, right on Zulu. When you get to Juliet, follow Delta Airlines from the right, monitor 1239.
After some flight planning and preparation in the briefing room, Justus and I pulled out this beautiful CIRRUS SR20 from the hangar and performed a thorough outside check, where Justus pointed out some of the key specs of this plane. I was instantly impressed by the sleek lines and how much emphasis the engineers have put into making this plane as aerodynamic as possible. After completing all pre-flight checks and uploading the flight plan from our tablet to the Garmin Perspective Plus, Justus gave me an introduction into the famous CIRRUS cap system, to which we'll make an entire video in this channel very soon. We then performed the standard before and after engine start checklist, taxied towards the holding point, and took off from runway 07 in Augsburg and headed for a little sightseeing tour towards Munich city, whilst Justus explained a few of the key features of this plane, one of them being the speed.
Oh, that's quick. It's 130 knots. It's incredible.
75% known.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think I've never flown that fast.
The SR20 is powered by a 4-cylinder fuel-injected Lycoming IO390 motor, outputting 215 horsepower, bringing her up to a cruising speed of 155 knots. Trust me, that's pretty fast for a plane that size whilst carrying 4 passengers. And I obviously had many more questions by looking at the large Garmin screens, and I spotted a highlighted circle around the aircraft.
Is there a reason for this?
Yeah, this is in case the engine would now quit. This is the ratio of the gliding distance.
So
this is the area we could cover at the moment.
Wow.
Of course, if you're level 100, then it's a different story.
That's a different story. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Correct.
Is that a blinking message?
Yeah,
what
correct. So, in case, for example, the fuel, it reminds you like, okay, so it's been so and so long, check that you're still on the fullest tank, or maybe you need to swap the tank, for example, or...
There's a common mistake that flight students forget to switch the fuel tank, because, I mean, it's quite tedious to do it, to think of it every half an hour or whatever to switch it.
Exactly.
And this is a fantastic...
you can do whatever kind of timer you want to have,
Yeah.
you can insert it as well.
Okay, okay.
A lot of flight students will be very pleased with this feature. We have all forgotten to switch the fuel tank at least once during our flight training. You are so caught up in navigating, performing airwork, etc. that keeping track of switching your fuel tank can easily be forgotten.
No, but what it's great to see is that it is a general aviation aircraft, but you just even said it, read your FMA. And this is what we learn when you become an airline pilot, is that this is more or less one of the golden rules. And as Airbus says, it's one of the golden rules to know your FMA.
Correct.
And if you already train by reading it and understanding it, I mean, your training will be much easier, because if your instructor says, read your FMA and you have no idea what it is, I mean,
Absolutely.
coming out of a general aviation aircraft with analog instruments, this is, yeah, that's a big step. Incredible.
Absolutely.
This is a feature on this aircraft that without question will be a big part of your career as an airline pilot. The FMA, the Flight Mode Annunciator. Basically speaking, the FMA shows you which mode your autopilot is flying in or is armed to. It's visualizing your autopilot changes and settings. If you start understanding the FMA early on in your training, you'll have one less problem to worry about during your first type rating.
So what Justus and I are trying to simulate now is, in case you really lose your orientation, if you were to be in IFR, and the plane would do something like this. Alright, here we go. Now what?
You have this little blue button, so whenever you have the feeling not knowing what to do, this might help you.
Alright, then I'll just press this here.
Yeah, correct.
I'll let go of everything.
And then you can read the FMA here, is level.
Autopilot engaged.
The amount of innovative safety features on this aircraft are groundbreaking. The blue button we mentioned is the return to level mode button, which will engage the autopilot and automatically return the plane back into a straight and level condition.
Yeah, 1000 below. and like 1 mile ahead of us, so somewhere where the water, there it is. You can see the traffic over there.
Traffic, 1 o'clock, low.
Oh, wow.
So it even says traffic, it shows up here.
Nice. Right there.
And we can identify the traffic, so no factor for us.
Incredible. But I have to say, this for me is, I personally think, one of the biggest features, especially when it comes to general aviation, that to have a TCAS system showing you where the traffic is.
Absolutely.
This is incredible. This is, I personally think, one of the biggest safety features.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
One of the big issues why I don't fly GA aircraft as much as I used to, demonstrated quite nicely, is the amount of traffic in the air nowadays. Yet again, Cirrus has thought of that and installed a TCAS-like system as airline jets would have it. As ADS-B in and out is becoming mandatory in more and more countries, the opposite traffic will then be displayed on your navigation display, followed by similar voice commands I'm familiar with from the airlines.
Okay, another feature that I really like in this aircraft is actually the side yoke. It gives you so much space. You have your knees are free of any obstacles, and you don't have anything in between your legs that is sort of hindering you. Also, in terms of situation awareness and overview of your instruments, it's beautiful. So this is definitely a really great solution. Just moving everything to the side, and yeah, to be fair, it feels very much like flying an Airbus.
The next maneuver was absolutely mind-blowing. We tried to deliberately stall the aircraft with the autopilot engaged. Stalled is a huge part of your flight training, but see what the Cirrus does once the speed protection kicks in.
Minimum speed here.
Yeah.
Stall. And you can see now.
Kidding.
Under speed protection.
Stall.
It's just maintaining 76.
Stall.
So it's super safe. I mean, just making sure. It even says here, under speed protection active. Wow.
Altitude, airspeed.
Altitude, because we're losing.
That's it.
And that's it. So it's like, wow.
Okay, this was a fantastic demonstration of the protection that are in this aircraft. So what Justus did, he pulled back the power to simulate as if we were leveling off at 3,000 feet, or in our case at 5,000 feet, and then you would have forgotten to add power. It happens. I mean, if you're a flight student, these things happen. And what the plane then automatically does, first of all, it gives you a warning that you're at a low airspeed, then it calls out stall, and then it recovers automatically by just lowering the nose.
That's copied, Alpha X-ray.
Had a stall situation at any point. There was no buffeting, so it's fine. This is fantastic. So what else can we do?
At the end of the day, Justus then insisted that I should land the Cirrus. After we had set up the approach for runway 07 at Augsburg, he showed me the synthetic vision pathway. I couldn't believe what I saw.
You even have some donuts. If you fly through them, you will end up
You're
in the
kidding!
airport.
You're kidding! Alright, no way, it's like a video game now.
Yeah, exactly.
You just fly through these.
I only had to fly through these rectangular boxes, keeping me on the ideal glide path and course towards the runway. I was absolutely stunned.
Okay.
Delta Kilo Juliet is auch abgefeuert.
Power to idle. Boris.
Juliet holding. Yeah.
Okay.
Boris, perfect.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Interesting flare.
Yep, it's been a while since I flew an aircraft where you initiate the flare lower than 30 feet. We then taxied her safely to the gate position and completed all remaining items via the electronic checklists. After that day of flying, I was hooked and I cannot wait to fly another Cirrus aircraft anytime soon.
There we go. Wow, what a day it has been. Holy cow. I have flown a lot of general aviation aircraft in my life, but I can safely say this is one of the safest, most modern and advanced aircraft I have ever sat in. I sadly even have to admit it is more advanced than the Boeing 747 I fly right now at work. But it is a great experience. And I think this just proves how advanced the general aviation is nowadays. And this is safe to say an aircraft that I would trust any flight student with to go out and, learn to fly. this will be the one I would do it with. That's it for today. If you want to find out more about Cirrus aircraft, please click the link in the description box below to get onto their website, and you can find so many more information about this aircraft and many, many others on display as they have. Your checklist: subscribe to my channel, check. Activate the notification bell, check. Follow my Instagram account, check. Perform a touch and go at my website, check. And don't forget, a good pilot is always learning, especially if he's training in a Cirrus SR20. Wishing you all the best, your Captain Joe.